Welcome to another episode, everyone. My goodness, the Tupac murder trial has more twists and turns than a Stephen King novel. Now we're learning that Suge Knight is accusing Snoop Doggy Dogg of Tupac's murder. In fact, Suge Knight says that he has audio of Snoop Doggy Dogg, and once he leaks it, I believe he's leaking it now, could put Snoop Doggy Dogg in prison for the rest of his life. What is going on? Now Snoop Doggy Dogg is responsible for Tupac's murder? Not the defendant that is on trial, which is Dwayne Keefe D. Davis? My goodness.
It's an audio of Snoop Dogg, basically admitting why Tupac's dead. He's admitting why he died. Oh, it's still there.
That's Suge Knight talking from a prison cell about Snoop Dogg. And look at the timing. Right now, this week, the man accused of killing Tupac is on trial in Las Vegas, 30 years after the murder, 30 years of silence, and Suge picks this exact moment to talk about a tape.
Releasing that audio would have put Snoop in prison for the rest of his life. That's how powerful it is.
Prison for the rest of Snoop's life.
What? It's not Suge or whatever the hell. It's Suge Knight. Suge Marion Knight just said that the audio that he has of Snoop Doggy Dogg would put him in prison for the rest of his life. What type of audio is this? What is Snoop Doggy Dogg allegedly saying in this audio that will put him in prison for the rest of his life as it relates to our guy, Tupac Amaru Shakur? What's up with you, Snoop?
That's what Suge says is sitting on that recording. He's never played it for anybody, but he won't let it go either, because when they asked him where the tape is now,
what has happened to that audio?
Oh, it's still there.
And that's not all. The tape is just the receipt. What Suge Knight is really claiming cuts deeper, and it goes all the way back to September 7th, 1996, the night Tupac got shot. Because the way Suge tells it, there was no mystery that night.
Snoop, who everyone knew at the time, wanted Tupac dead.
What?
September 7th, 1996. Mike Tyson knocked...
Snoop wanted Tupac dead? What's up with Suge, man? Why is he saying this stuff? First of all, he's snitching too. There's snitches all around this Tupac murder trial. We've seen that. They're all snitching. So he's accusing Snoop Doggy Dogg of a murder, which is him snitching as well. But nevertheless, what the hell is he talking about? Is he trying to take the heat off of himself? We know that many individuals have pointed the finger at Suge Knight for many years, saying that he wanted Tupac out of the way because Tupac Shakur was leaving death row. In fact, the defendant, Dwayne Keefe D. Davis, has alluded to the very same thing, that Suge Knight had it done by the Compton police because he wanted Tupac out of the way because Tupac was leaving death row. And now Suge is here openly saying that Snoop Doggy Dogg wanted Tupac dead. Snoop, so is he trying to take the heat off of himself? What do you mean Snoop Dogg wanted Tupac dead? We know that they had a beef because Snoop Dogg had went on the radio in New York and supported Biggie Smalls and P. Diddy, if you will, said that he had no beef with them, that he wanted to do music with them, etc. So Tupac caught a hold of the interview and was upset. And when he went to Las Vegas, Snoop Dogg stayed behind over this reason. But he wanted Tupac dead because they had this little conflict over what Snoop Doggy Dogg said on the radio. He wanted Tupac dead. So Snoop Dogg set it up. He had Baby Lane kill him. He had Keefe D kill him. What are you talking about? What are we doing here? This is nuts.
Out Bruce Seldon in Las Vegas, and the whole death row family is supposed to be in the building. Every artist, every bodyguard. That was the routine. The fight, then the after party at Club 662. Except that night, Suge says, one crew stayed home. And it wasn't an accident.
Snoop had a meeting with Daz, Corrupt, Nate Dogg, the Dog Pound. Said, we're not going to Vegas. This is their words, not mine. We're not going to Vegas because basically something's going to happen.
Because Dog said, we're not going to Vegas. You know, we're gonna post. So, you know, he called us to the house.
Daz Dillinger, Corrupt, Nate Dogg. The whole Dog Pound skipped Vegas. Suge says Nate Dogg put it even plainer. As long as he stayed away from Suge and Pac that night, he didn't have to worry about catching a stray bullet. Then, there's the part Suge can't let go of. Warren G said in an interview that Snoop watched the fight at his house in L.A.
Yeah, well, perhaps Snoop just felt something. Because that is corrupt there, saying that Snoop Dogg told him to stay back from Vegas. And Snoop has since given interviews and said that he stayed back because they had words with Tupac. And so he just didn't go out there with to see that he said that he was supposed to go out to Vegas. Was Snoop Doggy Dogg. But once he had the conflict with Tupac Shakur, he did not go out to Vegas that night for the fight. But now we do hear corrupt saying that Snoop Dogg told them all to stay back. But okay, that doesn't indicate that he knew that Tupac would be unalived on that night, or perhaps that he did know, or he just felt something was wrong with the whole setup, so he stayed back.
At night, and that Snoop walked in carrying a radio.
Warren did a thing where he was on talking with us, they were doing out there, and he said that Snoop had a radio. He was at Snoop Hospital. She had only way you would have a radio if you was at the fight was when you had a security detail.
It's true, that he was signed to Death Row Records, but he said that you got all your money back.
Well, it's like this. Me and Dion is cool, we friends, but Dion, come on, pride.
Those radios belong to Death Row Security. Suge says he bought them himself and handed them out one by one. You only had one if you were working the detail in Vegas. So what was one doing in Warren G's living room 4 hours away? And Suge says that when the shots hit the BMW on Flamingo and Koval, that radio came alive.
That's when he tell him, hey, I gotta go. They just killed Tupac and shot Suge. How would you know? Nobody said that on the radio, you just heard the shots. And my thing was, how would you know all this if you wasn't involved?
Now, every word of that comes from Suge Knight, a man...
Wow. Yeah, he's blaming Snoop Doggy Dogg, or at least, blaming Snoop Doggy Dogg for being involved, saying that how would he know that Pac was killed, because he was not supposed to know at the time when he was mentioning it. Damn, this is Suge Knight saying this stuff. This is nasty work. So Snoop Doggy Dogg is responsible for Tupac Shakur's killing now? Oh my goodness, boy, this trial is gonna go crazy. And so certainly the prosecutor, or excuse me, the defense would probably hear about this and try to play this in court or admit this in court or get Suge Knight to come to court. They're already saying he's going to be called as a witness, perhaps a hostile witness, and say these things right here. That, it wasn't Keefy D, it was Snoop Dogg. But it still is not saying that Keefy D was not involved, Dwayne Davis, or his nephew, Orlando Anderson. It's just saying that Snoop was involved as well. It's still not saying that they are not the ones that pulled the trigger, but they pointing their finger at P. Diddy, they're pointing their finger at Suge Knight, they're pointing their finger at the Compton police, and now they're pointing their finger at Snoop Dogg, all in the same trial, and at the defendant. Jeez, who did it? It's a whodunit. Who killed Pac?
Doing 28 years, talking about somebody he openly can't stand. On its own, you could shrug it off. Here's the problem. For years, one death row insider after another has been catching Snoop in stories that don't hold up. Ask Reggie Wright Jr., the man who ran Death Row Security.
Not true, Snoop Doggy Dogg. Snoop lying. That's what you need to keep your name. Snoop lying, because you always lying.
Napoleon from The Outlaws says Snoop's stories about Pac's prison time never happened. Nas corrected Snoop's version of their 1996 standoff. That's the pattern that keeps Suge's claims alive. And here's what makes the tape threat land different. Suge has handled Snoop's evidence before. By his own account, he spent $6 million getting Snoop through his murder trial, and part of that money went to making an incriminating tape disappear. Gene Deal, Diddy's bodyguard, tells it even harder. Physical evidence in Snoop's case went missing from inside the police department, and Suge paid for that to happen. Snoop walked free in February 1996. So when Suge Knight says he's holding a recording that could bury Snoop Dogg, understand why the streets take it seriously. 30 years ago, tapes around Snoop had a way of disappearing when Suge wanted them gone. And this year, Suge added a claim that reaches straight into that Las Vegas courtroom.
You said that Snoop, he trying to bail Keefy D out of prison?
Snoop and other people Been having people try to bail the guy out, Keefe D, because he talking too much.
Here's the verified piece under that claim. In June 2023, WAC 100 really did put up $112,000 to bail out Keefe D, and a judge shut it down. Snoop says he had nothing to do with it, and no record shows he did. But notice how Suge works. Under every wild claim, there's one real piece, sitting there, checkable. And when a reporter asked Suge this month what he calls the murder, he used one word. It was an assassination. To feel why any of...
Well, it was damn sure an assassination. The question is why and who did it. It's a who done it. And so now they're saying, or Suge was saying anyway, that he was trying to bail Keefe D out of jail, the defendant. He wanted to bail him out. Of course, implying that he wanted to bail him out because, well, he said it, that he was talking too much in there. Well, Keefe D was talking too much in there. He was talking too much in interviews. He was talking too much with the FBI in 1998. He's been snitching for a while now. Jeez.
This matters. You have to remember what the East Coast War actually was, because Snoop and Steve Harvey will try to tell you it was a media invention. November 30th, 1994, Quad Studios, Times Square. Tupac walks into the lobby and takes 5 bullets. The shooters strip his jewelry off him while he's on the floor. Pac survives, and he tells the world exactly who he blames: Biggie and Puffy's people. Months later, Biggie drops "Who Shot Ya?" and Pac hears it as a victory lap. He answers with "Hit 'em up." This was never a rap beef. Tupac believed those men tried to kill him. That is the war Snoop Dogg was standing in the middle of. It got deeper. While Pac sat in prison on another case, Suge Knight flew to New York and bailed him out with $1.4 million, and Pac signed to death row straight off the cell block. He came out convinced Biggie's side had set him up at Quad, and he went to war for the label that freed him, and Pac had earned Snoop's loyalty the hard way. When Snoop was fighting a murder charge in 1995, Pac showed up for him. Daz Dillinger remembers who didn't.
It's an audio that's been online for years of Pac, calling out Dre for not supporting Snoop during his trial.
Yeah, he was mad because Dre wasn't supporting Snoop in the trial.
Pac went at Dr. Dre, his own producer, for leaving Snoop hanging at that trial. That's how hard he rode for Snoop. Then came New York, September 1996. Pac walked the MTV Video Music Awards that week. He had 9 days to live. And days before Vegas, Snoop sat down at Hot 97 and said, on air, that he had no problem with the 2 men Pac blamed for 5 bullets. He wanted to make songs with them.
Because I said, I'm cool with Puffy and Biggie doing the interview with you. Tupac took it as if I wasn't down with him no more. Death Row looked at me as like a traitor.
A traitor. That's Snoop's own word for how Death Row looked at him after that interview. Pac heard it on a hotel radio, and by Suge's telling, it got physical.
Pac took off on Snoop. Pac ran up on him, did what he did. Snoop ran this way, Pac running behind him. I stopped it.
Then comes the plane ride home, and the plane ride might be the strangest piece of this whole story. Both men agree the flight was ice cold. They tell 2 different stories about what happened on it. Snoop's version: his security got pulled off the private plane, and he rode 5.5 hours in the back, under a blanket holding a knife.
I walked to the back of the plane, give me a blanket, grabbed me a knife and a fork, put the blanket over my...
Suge's version:
Snoop never got on the plane and grabbed no fork and no knife. Came by pocket, banged on him, all that type of stuff. Never happened.
Sit with that for a second. There's no version of events where both of them told the truth. Either Snoop Dogg spent a 5-hour flight braced to stab his own label boss, or Snoop Dogg made it up. One of these 2 men is lying about that plane, on camera. Remember that, because it happens again. When the plane landed, Snoop and Pac spoke one last time. Here's Snoop.
We step off the plane. I'm like, Pac, you going to Vegas to the fight? I said, that's the last time I seen my life.
That's the last time I see my... He doesn't even finish the sentence. Hold on to it word for word because it's about to matter. Days later, Tupac was shot on the Vegas Strip. He fought for 6 days at University Medical Center. He died on September 13th, 1996. He was 25 years old. In May 2022, on Logan Paul's podcast, Snoop told the world about his last moments with Tupac. It's a beautiful story. He says he drove to Vegas, stopped at Suge's house first, and And Suge, head still wrapped from the shrapnel, told him Pac would pull through. He'd been shot before, he always pulled through. Then Snoop walked into that hospital room.
I step away from him. Him and Nas right here, boom. Nas like, what's up, Pac? Man, I love your music, I'm a fan.
When I walked in, I could just feel like he wasn't even there, and I fainted. In Snoop's telling, Tupac's mother, Afeni Shakur, picked him up off that hospital floor and pulled him aside. "My baby ain't never seen you weak," she told him. "Go to the bathroom, fix your face, and go back in there." So he did. He says he stood over Pac and said everything he needed to say. Snoop has told that story on podcasts and on stages for years. And fans clocked it years ago. When Wrap Up covered the impulsive telling, the comments kept landing on the same line. His story always changes. But drifting details are one thing. Suge Knight is another. Suge says it never happened. Not one piece of it.
Was Snoop at the hospital?
So Snoop didn't go nowhere near the hospital. That definitely didn't happen with Snoop didn't go to the hospital. That's a lie.
And Suge doesn't stop at a denial. He tells his own version with its own details. He says he's the one who called Snoop down to Vegas and that Snoop never got anywhere near University Medical Center. He came to Suge's house. Afeni Shakur was there, out by the pool. And when they asked Snoop why he hadn't gone to see Pac,
Snoop did start crying and fell and start throwing up, like literally throwing up, right? So we look at him like, damn, what happened to this dude? That's absolutely not true.
Crying, throwing up by the pool, telling Afeni that Pac hated him, and that's why he couldn't face the hospital room. In Suge's version, Afeni answered him like a mother. "My son was mad at me too. You go anyway." So now there are two detailed stories about the same week in the same city, about the same dying man. In one, Snoop says goodbye holding Pac's hand. In the other, he never walks through the door. And before you pick which man to believe, play back what Snoop said about that plane. "That's the last time I see my..." His own two stories can't agree on when he last saw Tupac. Suge has been telling his version the same way since at...
Well, he said that's the last time he seen him alive. Not the last time he seen him. Hell, we see a picture right there that he's with him in the hospital. The picture says 9/8/1996. So that would be the day after Pac's death. A day after Pac's shooting, 9/8/1996. That's when Snoop Doggy Dogg was in the hospital. Right there in that picture. Let me go back to that picture real quick, man. I want to see that again because... Let's see.
Play back what Snoop said about that plane. "That's the last time I see my..." His own two stories can't agree on when he last saw Tupac.
Fell and start throwing up, like literally throwing up, right? So we look at him like, damn, what happened to this dude? That's absolutely not true.
Crying, throwing up by the pool, telling Afeni that Pac hated him, and that's why he couldn't face the hospital room. There. In Suge's version, Afeni answered him like a mother. Hell, "My son was mad at me too. You go anyway." So now there are two detailed stories about the same week in the same city, about the same dying man. In one...
Look, right there. 9/8/1996. 9/8/1996. You see Pac right there. Hard picture, man. Hard picture to look at, man. Pac. Apparently hanging on to life at that time. We know that he died September 13th. So 5 days after this picture was taken, he hung in there for a while. He's in dire straits right here in this picture. This is a day after the shooting, 9/8. The shooting happened on 9/7, September 7th, 1996. So this is a day later. Snoop is out there in Vegas the next day, at least, in the hospital with Pac taking that picture. And Pac is in dire straits, man. So he was at the hospital, apparently, unless this is AI. Unless the picture is doctored up or something, I doubt it. This is him there. So I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments. Now they're blaming Snoop Doggy Dogg, or Suge Knight is blaming Snoop Dogg. He says he has receipts. He has the audio that will put Snoop Dogg away for the rest of his life. Supposedly, Evidence from Snoop Dogg's murder case came up missing thanks to Suge Knight. Apparently, he has receipts on that. There's no statute of limitation on murder, of course. So he's saying if I play this recording, when I play this recording, you go to prison for the rest of your life. How did Snoop Doggy Dogg know that I got shot and Tupac got shot? No one had reported that yet. He didn't go to Vegas because he knew it was about to go down, etc., etc. They're still not explaining to me enough anyway why Snoop Doggy Dogg would want Tupac killed, murdered. Why? They had a conflict. Some will say out of jealousy or whatever. I don't want him killed. There are other people that would want him killed before Snoop, I would think. I don't know. What say you in the comments? Suge Knight threatening to release audio on Snoop Doggy Dogg that will put him in prison for the rest of his life, indicating, insinuating, implying that Snoop Doggy Dogg has something to do, you just heard it, with Tupac Amaru Shakur's murder. So says Suge Knight. It gets crazier and crazier. Stay safe and stay free. People.